Hey friend, welcome back to the Gentle Reset, your no judgment zone for creating a home that actually works for you. I'm Allison, ADHD home and systems coach, former occupational therapist, and mom of two, and I'm so glad you're here. Last week in episode 31, we talked about what it looks like to maintain when life gets busy and your energy is low. This week we're talking about why trying to declutter your entire house can actually make things harder, and why starting with one room often creates the biggest momentum in ADHD homes. Because one thing I see all the time when ADHD women start decluttering is this belief that they need to tackle the whole house at once. If you've ever looked around your house and thought, I don't even know where to start, or I probably need to fix everything at once, then this episode is for you. Here's your weekly 3, a mind hack, a home hack, and a personal highlight to help your home feel lighter, more functional, and easier to maintain. Today you'll hear why trying to declutter an entire house often creates more overwhelm in ADHD homes, how focusing on one room builds momentum and confidence faster, and how to decide which space would make the biggest difference to start with. If you've been feeling stuck trying to tackle your whole house, this episode will help you see a different way forward. And make sure you're following along, because next week we're kicking off Season 4 with a brand new 4-episode series all about creating momentum in one of the most overwhelming spaces for ADHD homes, your closet. Let's jump in. Here's the mindset shift I want you to hear today. One thing I see all the time when ADHD women start decluttering is this belief that the entire house needs to be fixed before anything will feel better. So the thoughts sound like, I don't even know where to start. This is going to take me forever. I'll get to it when I finally have a big burst of energy. But that approach usually leads to the opposite result, because when your brain sees the entire house as the project, it quickly becomes overwhelmed. The decisions feel endless, the starting point isn't clear, and it's easy to shut down before you even begin. And the truth is, most homes don't change because someone tackled everything at once. They change because one space starts working better first. When one room becomes easier to reset, easier to use, and easier to maintain, it starts creating a ripple effect throughout the house. Laundry feels easier to keep up with, mornings run a little smoother, and you stop feeling behind every time you walk into that space. That's why inside my room makeovers, we never start with the entire home. We start with one room that will create the biggest relief. So how do you decide where to start? When I'm working with a client, one of the first questions I ask is which room feels the most frustrating or overwhelming, because that answer tells us a lot. Sometimes that space becomes the place we start, but other times, especially if that room feels too overwhelming, we actually start with the least overwhelming space first, so the client can build momentum and confidence. And if someone is only focusing on one room instead of continuing through multiple spaces, we may choose the room that will create the biggest impact in their daily life. There isn't just one right answer, and every person is different, and every home is different. The goal is to choose a space where progress will feel noticeable and motivating. Once you identify that space, the next step is breaking it down even smaller, because even a single room can feel overwhelming at first. So instead of thinking, I need to declutter the whole room in one day, we break it into zones: one shelf, one drawer, one surface, because small progress builds momentum and confidence. And this is exactly where support can make the biggest difference. That's where my OT background and coaching approach really come in. Inside a room makeover, I guide clients step by step so they know where to start, what to declutter first, how to make decisions without overthinking, how to work with their ADHD instead of fighting against it, and how to fit the process into their real schedule. You don't have to work on it every day, and you don't have to do hours at a time. You just need a clear starting point and a plan that works with your full life. And that's exactly what we figure out together during a curiosity call. We talk through what space feels the most frustrating right now, what you've already tried, and which room would create the biggest difference if it started working better. From there, we decide if a room makeover would be the right next step. I keep a limited number of spots open so I can give each client the support and attention they need throughout the process. If you'd like to learn more, you can schedule a curiosity call or see more details about a room makeover through the link in the show notes. Let me tell you a story about one of my clients. She came to me feeling overwhelmed by several rooms in her home. Everywhere she looked, there was something that needed attention. But when everything feels like the problem, it's hard to know where to start. So during our action plan call, we chose one space to focus on first, her bedroom. Clothes, hobby supplies, and everyday items had slowly taken over the room. She had tried organizing before, but nothing really stuck. So we worked through the space step by step, decluttering first, creating homes for the things she actually used, designing the layout so the room supported her daily rhythms and became more functional. By the end of the project, she shared, we got rid of a lot of stuff. I made space for my clothes and my hobby supplies, and I can finally work at my desk instead of the couch or the bed. The room didn't just look different, it worked differently. It was more functional and had less visual clutter competing for her attention. And when one space starts working better, it can change how the whole home feels. So here's what I want you to remember today. Trying to declutter your entire house at once often creates overwhelm in ADHD homes. Choosing one space and breaking it into smaller zones makes it easier to start. When one room starts working better, it can create momentum throughout the rest of your home. Well, that's it for today, friend. Thank you for being here and spending this time with me today. If this episode resonated with you, or you've been listening for a while, I'd love it if you left a quick review or shared it with a friend. It helps more ADHD women find this kind of support too. Remember, one small shift at a time creates momentum. You're doing better than you think, and I'm so proud of you. See you next week on The Gentle Reset for another weekly 3.